Hi, I'm Allie with PotomacBeads, and in this Better Beader episode, we are going to go over ring sizes and ring sizers. So there's a number of different ways that rings are sized. This is different per country, different measurements as far as the internal, the external diameter, and then what those sizes actually are and mean. So I want to go over, in case you are from Europe, whether or not you're continental Europe or you're kind of the British version of Europe, what those different sizes are and how they equate, and a couple simple tips and tools for using something like this plastic ring sizer to make or to size up your rings. So to start out, behind me, I have a Wikipedia page that I pulled up on the website just to show you kind of how crazy this whole conversion is when it comes to something as simple as a ring size. I have a ring size stick right here, and when you're looking at the ring size stick, there are numbers on it. Like everything in the US, Canada, and Mexico, down the column over there is kind of that fun of ours is different. So there's an international standard, and this international standard is used by most continental European nations, including Austria, France, Germany, Belgium, Scandinavia, and a couple other of the European countries. The international standard, or the continental Europe standard, measures the inner diameter of the ring itself, or the ring size, think hole, the inner diameter in millimeters. Of course, here in the US, for some reason we have something against the metric system, although us beaders, we love the metric system. Runners and beaders, they love the metric system. So in the US, we came up with our own system, which according to the International Standard Organization, hey, go with it because there's not that much of a difference when it comes to it. So our standard is basically, there's a whole conversion that goes on. C equals 2.55 by S by plus 6.5 if you really want to do that. Or you can just pull up the Wikipedia page and look at the conversion. Now you're at the top of it, so you can see that also then you have the UK, Ireland, Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand, which go with what makes sense in my mind, an alphabetical chart. So if you want to find your alphabetical number when it comes to those kingdoms, if you're purchasing something following a pattern online, you'll need that conversion chart. If you have somebody that, say, is European, if Teresa would make a ring pattern, she might talk actually about the millimeter sizes inside. If I have another friend that's in Europe and in the UK, they might make something that says an alphabet. If we're in the US, we're going to have no idea what that means. So this important conversion chart is really nice. You'll also notice that in Japan and South America, they're using a completely different scale as well. So theirs is kind of different, that they also have a numerical scale, and there's a conversion to go along with that. And then Italy, Spain, and Switzerland, and the Netherlands use the circumference minus 40 millimeters. So if you're looking here, you see that 0.5 over my head, and you kind of go the whole way over there. The 40.4 equals the 0.5 approximately. When it comes to US sizes though, when you're looking and kind of trying to figure those out, US sizes are going to be kind of their own international system, US, Canada, Mexico. I have here a ring sizer or a ring stick. You can see it has measurements or numbers on it, and what it's going to mean is when it goes up a size, and generally in the US, we size by quarter and half scale. Now you can obviously get a ring or make a ring to be exactly what you want, but a nice inexpensive ring stick or ring sizer like this gives you those quarter measurements. It has little lines and dashes between the numbers. To go up a full size, so say, okay, this little pinky ring that I made and I had on to show you in the next clip, I slide down, it's a tiny one. It's right about in the middle of the band. If I slide the band around to the ring sizer, I can see it's right about a 3.5 wearing on my pinky. If I take off my engagement ring or my wedding band, they would drop down to a 4.5. There is exactly 2.55 millimeters between each one of these size increases. So from a 2 to a 3 is going to be 2.55 millimeters. That's going to be the increase of a full size when you're working on it. The great thing about jewelry making and making your own rings are you can make them to any size. A ring sizer or a ring stick is really, really helpful when making something. Whether or not you are making something that is wire and creating a ring on wire, or if you're making a fun beaded ring and sliding that down to get their measurement as well. This one right here that Marissa made is about a 6. You can use different techniques when making rings and making jewelry, but you often need to know what size and what standard. The easiest thing to do if you don't have a ring sizer, which is going to be, one of those plastic things that you stick on your ring in the jeweler and see which one fits, is take a simple piece of wire, say some 20 gauge art wire, measure the person's finger and twist around and drop it down on the ring sizer, and you'll be able to see what size it is. I find the ring sizer as a super handy tool because it has a little groove in the back here, which makes it easy to get beads on and off if you have a beaded one, and you can actually bend wire or seam up seed beads along the sides when dropping it down and to know exactly how many more units, say if you're using raw units like this one, or how much more wire you need to kind of let give if you want to make one out of actual wire. Now, obviously, if you're doing a lot of jeweler's work or jeweler's tool, you may also have a wooden one, sometimes used for hammering. You may have a metal sizer or a stainless steel sizer. Again, those are great kind of for soldering tools. They're not going to stick to it. So there's different methods that you may have and that you may use. But again, when it comes to rings, size does matter. So you need to know what those sizes are and how to convert them if you're looking at a pattern from one country to another. Like always with the US, we have to be difficult. And when I say, oh, my wedding band is a 5.5, a lot of our European viewers are going to say, that doesn't make any sense. What does that mean? You can Wikipedia that, again, go back to that conversion chart and check out what that is. Looking on the conversion chart, my ring, kind of pulling that down and looking even a little further on that search, is a K. When I'm looking for the numeric or when I'm looking for the alphabetical. So somebody in Ireland, I would say, oh, I'm wearing a K, K and a half. In Europe, I would say it's a 50.6, which makes the most sense because it tells you that circumference or the inner diameter of the ring. If you are using a ring sizer or a ring stick, you don't want to think about this as a tool used to stretch the wire or to stretch the seed beads. You don't want to do that and stretch along the project. What you want to do is use it to help you size or help you make. I can pull it back and to make sure that my bands kind of line up right along place in here. Again, pushing that one down kind of to a 3.5, sliding it off. It'll have that nice banded line, and it's a 3.5 to wear on a pinky with one of those nice Navette stones. Kind of fun little cocktail ring, super easy to make. Video coming up that Marissa has, same deal. You can put the ring on the ring sizer, look at the component, or make the band first, figuring out how much further you need to do a right angle weave band. If you want to, you can also do a fun piece of jewelry where you make the band first. This one here is a Celtic knot, just literally some thin wire braided. And then on top of that is a crazy kind of mess, a bird's mess of jewelry if you really want to kind of have fun and go at it with wire. You can use the ring sizer to help you make rings from any sort of material, whether or not you're doing wire, like I have here. And I have some 20 gauge wire, and I do have YouTube videos on making rings. I thought I would have fun with this and see if I can get this 20 gauge wire through a diamond duo bead with one of our new beads coming up. So a little preview for tomorrow. Sliding that bead right into the middle of the wire, putting it right exactly wherever I want it to sit. So say I want it to sit as a size 6, bringing the wire to the back on either side. And there's totally different ways you can do this, whether or not you want to bring it to the top or the bottom, run another wire through a second hole that may be there, or just take it around the sides and around the back of the thing to be able to use it. You can twist around, you can have fun kind of going all around doing different ways, but you want to make sure that before you take something off the ring sizer that you're still at the size that you want. If your ring happens to get moved, you want to give that wire a nice little tug to make sure that it fits and that you insist that it continues to fit. When it comes to rings, again, size does matter, so when you're in there kind of playing around, working and making simple wire rings, that band or the inner circumference does matter for the size that you want to do your jewelry, whether or not you're having fun doing wire, or if you're doing a little seed bead stitch in peyote or right angle weave, or even right angle weave and then adding a bead down the line to kind of reinforce. The ring sizer or the ring stick is going to help you know what sizes they are. If you're outside the US and you do purchase a ring sizer and it has different numbers on it that you're not familiar with, just check out that conversion, which is a simple Google search. Or likewise, if you have a European standard or an iOS standard, you'll have different measurements, same deal. Again, the little lines are going to be those half measurements. So when I look between the 5 and the 6, that's going to be the middle one is a 5.5, 5.25, 5 3/4. A little key too is if you have a little ring that, or you have a ring that is a little bit too big, making rings smaller is quite easy. Making rings bigger, you usually have to take them apart. To make something smaller, if you have wire, all you need to do is add a little bit more wire. So I can take a little wire clipping here and basically make a bumper or a stop. Actually, my wedding band has that as well. It has just a little silver bead, white gold bead, that was included in it to make it a little bit tighter and that it didn't flip around. By adding the extra wire, or even if I add through a cubic right angle weave coming up from here, I can add extra beads, making the band a little bit thicker on the interior and changing the inner diameter of the band. What that's going to do then is make my ring a little smaller without me having to go in and actually redo the whole ring completely. I can make it a little bit nicer, obviously, but I can take turns putting it on the ring sizer and seeing exactly where I am and how much smaller it has made it, adding more wire, taking less out, or sewing in more beads to the interior or taking them out as well. So the ring sizer is a really, really helpful tool. Whether or not you use the ring sizer, again, with the US standards, whether or not you use the intercontinental European, you use kind of the UK, Australian, and that method, or whether or not you're an oddball, kind of like Spain and Switzerland and Italy, and want to use that own system of kind of subtracting the 40 millimeters to get a size 10 versus a 50, that sort of thing, you can do that as well. But it's always nice to know if you're looking at patterns that for rings and you're trying to fit someone, size does matter. Also, a little heads up, rings happen to sell great at craft shows. So if you are somebody that sells jewelry, make sure you make them in a variety of sizes or make them that they can expand one way or the other, making them bigger or smaller. Think toe ring. You can do that with some metal base and some metal banding. That the rings are a great quick grab as long as you have a variety of sizes and shapes and colors galore to offer people there. So does size matter when it comes to rings? Yes. You may want to learn how to use the ring sizer, how to see what the different sizes are, and the method of measurement that you're using for the country that you're in. As always with these Better Beader episodes, they are so much fun to do, and hopefully you learned something. I knew nothing about ring sizing and why these sizes kind of exist and what they were, other than I know exactly what size my different fingers are. So hopefully you learned something as well too. If you want to continue to learn as well as get updates from us, like the new product that I kind of gave a little shout out to, as well as the video coming up by Marissa, make sure that you click in that bottom corner there to give a little subscription to us here at PotomacBeads. As well as comment below and let us know what you find the most challenging, the easiest thing, or any tips or tricks or techniques that you have for either sizing down a ring, making sure the ring fits, or to how to kind of easily convert from one to another. As always, thank you so much for watching and enjoy getting your rings on and having fun with the ring sizer.